FBI agent Maya Carter had faced killers, cartels, and corrupt officials, but she never expected her most dangerous standoff to come from a routine traffic stop. When a power-hungry cop pulled a gun on her and laughed at her badge, he thought he was untouchable. 2 minutes later, he was in cuffs. But what seemed like a single road cop was just the beginning. As Maya digs deeper, she uncovers a web of corruption that stretches far beyond one man, putting a target on her back and forcing her to fight not just for justice, but for survival. FBI agent Maya Carter was driving home late at night, exhausted from a long surveillance operation. The city streets were nearly empty, and the hum of her car was the only sound breaking the silence. She was a decorated agent, known for her sharp instincts and fearless attitude. But tonight, she was just another driver on the road. Red and blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror. Maya sighed and pulled over, her hands steady on the wheel. A police officer approached, his face shadowed under the streetlights. His hand hovered near his holster. "License and registration," he said, his voice sharp. Maya reached into her glove compartment, retrieving both documents along with her FBI badge. As she handed them over, she spoke calmly. "I'm Special Agent Carter, FBI. What seems to be the problem, officer?" The cop glanced at her badge, then laughed, a cruel, dismissive sound. "Nice try. Where'd you buy this from?" Maya's stomach clenched. Something was off about him. She had dealt with plenty of officers before, but this one was different. He radiated hostility. Before she could respond, the officer's hand shot to his gun. He pointed it straight at her. Out of the car, now. Maya's training kicked in. She moved slowly, making no sudden movements. "Officer, put the gun down. You're making a mistake." But the officer only sneered. "I don't take orders from criminals." Maya knew she had only seconds to act. This situation could spiral out of control, and she had no intention of becoming another statistic. Maya Carter knew how these situations could end. A trigger-happy officer, a split-second decision, a news headline about another black life lost. But she wasn't about to let that happen. Keeping her hands visible, she spoke in a controlled voice. "Officer, you're making a serious mistake. I am a federal agent, and you're pointing your weapon at the wrong person." The cop, whose name tag read Henderson, scoffed. "Yeah, and I'm the President of the United States." Maya's jaw tightened. She could see it in his eyes. He didn't just doubt her, he wanted to break her. "Step out of the car, hands where I can see them," Henderson ordered. Maya moved slowly, her every motion precise. The moment her feet touched the pavement, she locked eyes with the officer. "This is your last chance. Lower your weapon before this turns into something you can't undo." Henderson chuckled darkly. "Oh, I'm not the one in trouble here." Then, before she could react, he lunged forward and grabbed her badge, tossing it onto the ground like trash. "Fake badge, fake agent. You people will try anything." Maya clenched her fists. The arrogance, the recklessness. He was playing a dangerous game, and he didn't even know it. A crackling voice came through Henderson's radio. "All units, be advised. We have an FBI agent in the area on an undercover operation. Do not engage." Henderson hesitated. Maya saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes, but he covered it with a sneer. "Still think I'm lying?" she asked. Henderson's grip on his gun tightened. He had a choice to make: back down or double down. Unfortunately for him, he chose the latter. He reached for his radio. "Dispatch, I got someone claiming to be FBI, but I think she's carrying a fake." Before he could finish, a second set of flashing lights flooded the street. A black SUV screeched to a stop. The doors flew open, and out stepped 2 men in suits, guns drawn. "Federal agents. Drop your weapon, officer." Henderson froze. His face drained of color as realization hit him. And just like that, the hunter became the hunted. Officer Henderson stood frozen, his gun still raised, but now the barrel trembled. The men in suits, FBI agents, moved with precision, their weapons trained on him. "Drop your weapon," one of them barked, his voice cutting through the tense night air. Maya didn't move. She kept her eyes on Henderson, watching his mind race. He had started this power trip thinking he was untouchable. Now, he was realizing just how wrong he had been. I thought she was lying, Henderson stammered, his grip loosening. Lying, one of the agents repeated. You pulled a gun on a federal agent. You're in serious trouble. Henderson's eyes darted to Maya, then to the badge he had thrown on the ground. For the first time, fear cracked through his arrogance. Slowly, he lowered his gun. One of the FBI agents immediately stepped forward, kicking it away before slamming Henderson against the hood of Maya's car. You have the right to remain silent, the agent began, cuffing him with swift efficiency. Maya exhaled, finally allowing herself to feel the tension that had been coiling in her chest. Henderson struggled. Wait, this is a mistake. I was just doing my job. Maya stepped closer, her voice steady. No, officer, you were abusing your power. And now, you're facing the consequences. The reality of the situation sank into Henderson's face. He wasn't the one in control anymore. As the FBI agents secured him, Maya bent down and picked up her badge, dusting it off. She looked at Henderson one last time. I warned you. And with that, she turned away, letting justice take its cour. As Officer Henderson sat in the back of a squad car, his mind raced. His career, his reputation, everything was slipping through his fingers. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to be in control. Maya Carter stood a few feet away, speaking with the lead FBI agent, Special Agent Daniel Ross. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with an air of quiet authority. He had been one of Maya's mentors at the Bureau. You okay? Ross asked, concern flickering in his eyes. Maya nodded, though the adrenaline was still wearing off. I'm fine. He didn't expect me to fight back. Ross exhaled sharply, glancing at the police cruiser where Henderson sat. We've been tracking reports of his behavior for months. He has a history of targeting black drivers, intimidation, excessive force, fake charges. Tonight, he finally crossed the line. Maya clenched her jaw. It was a familiar pattern. Officers like Henderson were protected by the system, until they went after the wrong person. A senior police official arrived at the scene, a captain by the look of his uniform. He pulled Ross aside, his face tight with frustration. Maya could hear bits of the conversation. This is bad for us, the captain muttered. We need to handle this quietly. Ross wasn't having it. No. You need to handle the fact that one of your officers nearly killed a federal agent. This isn't going away. The captain sighed, rubbing his temples. We'll put him on administrative leave while we investigate. Maya cut in, her voice sharp. He pulled a gun on a federal agent and ignored dispatch warnings. That's not a leave situation. That's a crime. The captain glared at her, but Ross backed her up. She's right. If the FBI had arrived a minute later, this could have been a very different story. For the first time that night, Maya felt the weight of what had almost happened. The fear, the anger, but she had survived, and she wasn't about to let Henderson walk away without consequences. The captain finally nodded. Fine, we'll process him tonight. Maya didn't trust the words, but it was a start. As she watched Henderson stare blankly out of the squad car window, she knew this wasn't just about her. It was about every person who had been in her place before, without a badge to protect them. This fight wasn't over. The next morning, Maya Carter walked into FBI headquarters, her every step purposeful. The events of the night before had been exhausting, but she wasn't done. Henderson's arrest had made waves, and now, the real fight was beginning. Inside the briefing room, Special Agent Daniel Ross stood at the front, addressing a small team of agents. Screens behind him displayed footage from the traffic stop, Henderson's gun raised, Maya's badge ignored, the moment he was arrested. We've confirmed Officer Henderson's history of misconduct, Ross announced. Multiple complaints, intimidation, fabricated charges. His department looked the other way, until now. Maya took a seat, arms crossed. So what happens next? A prosecutor from the Justice Department, a sharp-eyed woman named Linda Patel, spoke up. Henderson is facing federal charges. Civil rights violations, abuse of authority, and brandishing a firearm against a federal agent. He's not walking away from this. Maya felt a wave of relief, but also frustration. It took him pulling a gun on an FBI agent to get here. What about the people who didn't have a badge to back them up? Patel nodded. We're reopening past complaints. If we find enough, we can push for a broader investigation into his department. That was what Maya had wanted to hear. This wasn't just about her. This was about accountability. As the meeting wrapped up, Ross approached Maya. "You handled yourself well last night." Maya smirked. "I handled myself like an FBI agent." Ross chuckled. "That you did." He hesitated, then added, "This won't be the last Henderson out there. But he won't be the last one we stop either." Maya nodded. She knew the fight wasn't over. But for the first time in a long time, she felt like justice had won. And that was enough, for now.